His problems yesterday was thrown off. He crashed down very heavily on his back. His injuries were to the back, to his elbow and to knee, and he was helicoptered to the hospital in Johannesburg. But he's fit enough to ride. Not surprisingly, his main problem will be the push start. Well, he would
believe that you wouldn't be here if you didn't think you could win. So I think that we're in a lot better shape than we were last year at this time, but even before the accident, of course, with the machine and physically and everything, I feel 100%. And
I think, yeah, it's possible to win. It's really Freddie Spencer that's pulled quite a fair lead in practice, but the rest of us, we're all there together. So if we can just pull a bit more out, we might be able to close up for Freddie.
Well, definitely there's 4 or 5 guys all right in the hunt. You know, like I say, the second fastest from down to 6th, I guess, is all right there together within a couple hundred, so it's close.
And is Eddie Lawson going to be world champion at the end of the season?
Well, I'd like to think so. You know, we still have the same team, and the bikes are very reliable. I'm sure, you know, the same bikes, and they're just updated. So as far as predicting how the championship will go, I'd like to think we'll be in the hunt.
Well, the race is over 30 laps of this 2.55-mile circuit. Let's now go to Kyalami. Our commentators are Peter Clifford and Chris Carter.
Just a few minutes then away from the start of this 30-lap 500cc race here at Kyalami. As we said, the temperature up in the 80s, a beautiful day, and there the talented front row of the grid for this 30-lap race. In pole position, Freddie Spencer, Shreveport, Louisiana, 1 minute 24.20, well inside the lap record on the Honda bike number 4. Spencer, of course, the man hoping to retrieve the World Championship away from Eddie Lawson, who is second fastest on the Yamaha. Then on the second row of the grid, Raymond Roche, the Frenchman, who took a tumble yesterday. 7th best, Randy Momola on the Honda. 8th fastest, Cito Pons on the Suzuki. And 9th best, Didier Duradigues. There in the picture is Eddie Lawson, rider number 1, the world champion. So a reminder, the second row of the grid. There is the third row of the grid, Mike Baldwin, the American, back on the Grand Prix trail. Next to him, Franco Ancini, the former world champion. Then the British boy, Rob McElnay, with the Suzuki. Next to him, Christian Liard, another man who had a crash in practice but who's bounced back to take part in the race. And then Terry Espier with the Chevalier. There's Christian Saron, who was the victim of a horrific-looking accident in practice. He's hurt his knee and his elbow and his back. And the problem for Saron, obviously, trying to get the bike started. The fourth row of the grid, South African Dave Peterson with the ex-Chris Guy Honda. Next to him, Gustav Reiner, the German on the Honda. Boot van Dormen. There is Ron Haslam with the Rothmans Honda Britain bike. Fourth fastest in practice. Just completing the fourth row of the grid, Boot van Dormen, the Dutchman. And next to him is Massimo Messero. 1 minute to go. And this really is one of the most open Grand Prix races in prospect. Spencer very quick, about 1.3 seconds, 30 seconds to go to the start. Spencer 1.3 seconds quicker than anybody else, but then less than 0.3 of a second separating Lawson, Saron, Haslam, Gardner and Rush. A dramatic moment, a tense moment, tense for everyone apparently, except for Ron Haslam. Look for that quick start from Ron. Bike number 5, second in from the right. There the lights, they're on red, they'll go to green in a moment. Then it's 30 laps ahead of the field, they're on green, and Ron's on board, and Haslam's made another tremendous start, but Freddie Spencer was quicker still. It was a good start from Ron Haslam, but a terrible start from a couple of people at the back. But Spencer it was who charged to the front with the Rothmans Honda. Ron Haslam was in second place, but Eddie Lawson has gone through on the inside, so I think that means Haslam's going to be pushed back into third spot. Gary Lingham, the young Englishman, in the middle of the picture there. Well, Spencer made an absolutely beautiful start. Eddie Lawson just nipped ahead of Ron Haslam. It is Haslam in third place, and Rob McElnay, the British boy, the part of the Heron Suzuki team, last away. Well, that's sad news. Spencer the leader, Eddie Lawson in second place, and Ron Haslam third. And here they come now. Spencer just in front, the distinctive red leathers and fairing of Eddie Lawson. His teammate Raymond Roche out on the Yamaha for the first time despite that tumble. Here they come again. Spencer number 4, 1 Lawson, 5 is Haslam, and 7 is Wayne Gardner, who's in 4th place, and that's a great start for Digger. And there you see Gardner on bike number 7. Tremendous start from the young Australian. So the Honda Britain riders in 3rd and 4th place, and what a better start could they ask for? And that looks a little bit like Christian Saron in 5th place. Well, what a tremendous... And Raymond Roche behind bike number 3. Well, 2 men who took some tremendous falls back in the action. 1 lap gone. Spencer the leader, Lawson is 2nd, Haslam is 3rd, and Gardner's challenging.
With Randy Mamola back in about 10th place and closing fast as we watch number 5, Ron Haslam, just leading number 7, Wayne Gardner. But it's still Spencer who leads, pulling away a little bit. Somebody's gone down, there's a yellow flag waving.
Well, it's difficult to see where the faller was. Must have been from the previous lap. Nobody went down then. The first 4 men, no problems. Gary Lingham in 14th place. That's an excellent performance from the young British privateer. Number 5, Haslam. Number 7, Gardner. Battling for 3rd and 4th place at the moment. There's the battle for the lead. Number 4, Spencer. Number 1, Lawson. And Haslam and Gardner both back on Dunlop tyres, and that really is part of it. There is a replay of an accident, and somebody goes shooting up the outside.
It's one of the Italian teams. It's number 43 there. I think it was Armando
Enrico. That's one of the European Championship men. Bounces end over end, but all that soft sand. A very spectacular incident, but all, I think his pride's hurt rather than himself.
Yes, he's got his helmet off now. He's perfectly okay.
So the Italian Armando Enrico, one of the European Championship contenders from last year, out of the race. No changes on the leaderboard. Gardner right behind Haslam. Gardner pulls out of Haslam's slipstream. Gardner's gone up into 3rd place. Will Haslam repeat the move? No, he won't. Spencer, Lawson, Gardner, Haslam. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's 3 Hondas out in front with that number 1 Yamaha in there. The sandwich, he's in 2nd place. Gardner, knee trailing on the floor. Haslam right with him. They may be teammates, but a lot of rivalry between these 2 men. Gardner, Wayne Gardner from Wollongong, New South Wales and Australia. Ron Haslam from Langley Mill in Nottinghamshire, very close to the Derbyshire border. Chasing each other, battling away for 3rd place as Freddie Spencer and Eddie Lawson battle ahead of them for 1st and 2nd place, and Marco Greco, the young Brazilian who is not the most popular man in the world. The others reckon he's a very slow character. Well, his race ended early, and I'm sure a lot of people will be delighted about that. And sad news for Rob McElnay fans. Rob McElnay is in the pits at the moment. The bike was slow to start, and unfortunately McElnay back in the pits as Gardner's bike twitches and weaves as they come out of Leacock towards the kink. There's that kink leading on to the very, very fast start and finish straight. Number 4, Spencer the leader. Behind him, number 1, Eddie Lawson.
And these are likely to be some of the fastest laps of the race as the tyres are well worn now, well up to working temperature as Lawson tips his bike in, followed by Gardner, Haslam and Saron, who seems to be closing on them.
Saron then moving a little bit closer to the 2 Honda riders. Saron, of course, 3rd fastest in practice. That's Gardner we're looking at, bike number 7. Haslam is 4th there, and Saron definitely closing, and Roche is not out of contention. You saw the flash of that red fairing. And here's Gardner and Haslam battling away for 3rd place. Ron Haslam in excellent form, very, very confident and happy. And sadly we've lost Gary Lingham as well, who was up in 14th place. So another one of the British hopefuls has disappeared off the lap chart. 4 is Spencer, 1 is Lawson, 7 is Gardner, 5 is Haslam.
It looks as though Lawson may be closing on Spencer. He's a yard or 2 closer as we watch number 7, Australian Wayne Gardner, and number 5, Ron Haslam.
And Raymond Roche on the 2nd of the Marlborough Yamahas appears to be closing on Christian Saron. There's Saron just come into view on the top of your picture. Not so far behind him was Raymond Roche, 2 Frenchmen aching and bruised from their tumbles yesterday. as Gardner and Haslam chase Spencer and Lawson. 26 laps to go. 4 laps have gone in this 500cc battle, and Haslam looked as though he was thinking about taking the inside lane on the braking for Crowthorne, and a bit of a sneak there from Haslam's Honda. No problems though, I don't think. And these two men, as I said before, teammates but very much rivals. There are no team orders at all. Both will want to do as well as they can, and Haslam at the moment content to sit on the back wheel of Gardner and see what develops, putting the pressure on the young Australian. Gardner, of course, has been with the Honda Britain team, lives in England now.
And news that the local man Dave Peterson on the Creepy Crawley Honda is in 11th place, just out of a point-scoring position at the moment, but obviously forcing his way up.
Gardner and Haslam, numbers 7 and 5, battling for 3rd place. And again we saw a little glimpse in out of picture of the scrap between Raymond Roche, who is now closing on Christian Saron. So Roche perhaps going to be getting closer to his teammate Eddie Lawson, who lies 2nd at the moment. 5 laps have gone, 25 laps to go. Spencer with Lawson, the shadow.
And already these two are closing up on the last man, Dimitris Papandreou, the Greek, and he's about to be lapped.
Well, Papandreou had an excellent ride here at Kyalami last year. In the rain, he was forced to ride in slick tyres because he just was so poor he hadn't got anything with tread on. And certainly this pair are really going at it hammer and tongs.
And the only minor worry from the Rockman's Honda Britain squad was that Wayne Gardner, who's forced to use a softer compound front tyre than Ron Haslam because he felt the front was too hard when he crashed, may abuse the front tyre too much, and it may be worn out towards the end of the race. But at the moment, obviously, there's no such problems, and Gardner, number 7, leading Haslam, both of them going very quickly in pursuit of number 4 and number 1, Spencer and Lawson.
And they just carve their way past Papandreou, and the Greek just getting in the way of Haslam there, and the Greek really just all over the road, and a very, very slow man, but Haslam didn't lose too much ground then. Just a quick rundown at the end of that 5th lap, the running order: Spencer the leader, Lawson is 2nd, Gardner is 3rd, Haslam is 4th, in 5th place is Christian Saron, and there is the battle behind. We break off from giving the top 10 to point out that Raymond Roche has gone ahead of Christian Saron, and Saron looks as though he's coming out of the sparing ears, and Saron goes ahead, and Roche will have another go on the inside. Side by side, 3 is Roche, 6 is Saron, and who would have guessed that and Saron goes too wide. Roche has a chance to come back on the inside at Crowthorne. Well, they both had very painful experiences of Crowthorne. I can appreciate them being a little bit wary there, Peter.
Yeah, phenomenally out braking, trying to break each other on the corner that caused their disaster last time. But they're slipstreaming now through the tremendously fast Yuxke sweep, hitting about 250 k's, 140 miles an hour before they break for sunset around this 170 kilometre, 110 mile an hour sweep, and down under hard brakes for the slower clubhouse turn.
There is Saron ahead of Raymond Roche, 6th, the Sun Auto Gaulois Yamaha, and Raymond Roche, another Frenchman, on the Marlboro Yamaha. Try and complete the rundown of the top 10 for you, which here is this battle for 5th and 6th place between Roche and Saron behind them. And look at Roche on the inside, and Saron just leans across the front wheel as they go into Leocamp. What a brave move there from Christian Saron. Ahead of them, Gardner still leads Haslam. And I will try and complete the rundown of this thing. 7th is Momola, 8th is Didier Girardi, 9th is Mike Baldwin, and 10th is Cheriespi on the Chevalier. Here is this scrap, 7 laps completed now, and Roche goes back in front.
But you saw Saron's back wheel hopping about there, almost exactly the same thing that caused him to fall earlier on.
Well, on the curb, these two men, absolutely superb battle. Roche nursing a very, very painful wrist from yesterday's tumble. Christian Saron, who walked a little bit like a robot.
And Lawson's back in front.
Lawson is in front. He's taken the lead from Spencer. We're back with the leaders now. Well, we've got through three sensational battles going on. This is the battle for the lead. Eddie Lawson on the Yamaha goes ahead of Freddie Spencer on the Honda behind them. And good grief, Lawson almost past the curve, almost over the other side of the curve and onto the gravel and dirt. So desperate, so enthusiastic and so hard-working is this Californian to stay ahead of the man from Louisiana. Two Americans leading. The Yamaha leads the Honda. Lawson in front, Spencer in second place. Both of them chin on the petrol tank, flat down behind the fairing. 22 laps to go. 8 laps have gone, and absolutely nothing in it between these two. No change in the Gardner-Haslam situation, and Roche still leads. And they're both up and over the curve again, Peter. They're trying so hard.
Both bikes slipping and sliding. It's the V4 Yamaha followed by the V4 Honda. Very similar specifications, both reed valve induction machines. Well, similar power outputs.
The crowd absolutely on their feet, cheering, waving, shouting. A big crowd here at Kyalami in the sunshine. Lawson on the Yamaha. Spencer number 4 on the Honda. Up and over the curve again. The front wheel comes into the air as Lawson winds on the power of the Forsen and the Yamaha through the S's, hard over left and hard over right. Well, what a battle this is. Lawson was saying to me yesterday that he didn't agree he was a lucky world champion. He felt that he finished almost every race last year. He's not got a habit of falling off. And Lawson felt he could do it again. Well, he's ahead of the man who wants to take that title away from him. Freddie Spencer, they come underneath the Marlborough Bridge. Down the street, 21 laps to go. 9 have gone, and Spencer coming out of the slipstream. Is he? No, changes his mind. Has to pull back behind the red bike of Eddie Lawson.
And that last lap was running 1 minute 25.71 seconds, so that's only a second slower than they were doing in practice.
And Ron Haslam has gone back ahead of Wayne Gardner in their scrap for third place. And Christian Saron has gone ahead of Raymond Roche. No, they were side by side as they went past us, but there is the battle for the lead. Lawson setting the pace. Freddie Spencer in second spot. Well, is Freddie playing a waiting game, Peter?
Well, obviously they're both very good tacticians, both being world champions, and it's impossible to say at this point. I would imagine it's quite possible that Spencer has a second in hand, but yet again, we don't know that Lawson is overextending himself.
Well, 30 laps around Kyalami in any conditions is hard work, but under this sunshine, it's a task for heroes only. And we'd have two heroes doing the job. Lawson, a glance over the shoulder, and there, sure enough, right in his tyre tracks, in his shadow almost, is Freddie Spencer. No time for Lawson to relax. Here's the charge past the pits. The signal boards will go out. Quick glance to see exactly what the picture is. They lose track of time. That's the order after 10 laps. And Haslam still ahead, and Saron now having the better of the battle with Raymond Roche. Two bikes just sliding their way around these bends. These two riders, both very, very good dirt track racers in their time, and they ride motorcycles in a way that Europeans find so difficult, Peter.
Yes, they have the back wheels sliding through the corner, allowing the power to be put on very, very early. Gives them a tremendous drive out of the turn and punches them towards the next curve quicker than most people can manage.
And this time it was Spencer's bike that wheeled. The front wheel lifts into the air. And our lap scorers tell us that Cito Pons, the young Spaniard drafted into the Galena HB Suzuki team, who was second last away, just ahead of Rob McElnay, is now up into 11th place and moving up very fast indeed. So are we in for a sensation from Cito Pons, the talented young Spaniard from Barcelona?
Spencer now tucks right into the slipstream of the Yamaha, and both these bikes are geared to do about 305k, 188 miles an hour at that point before they sit up and brake.
11 laps gone. 19 laps to go. Lawson ahead of Spencer. They're catching up a tail ender again, and once again it's the Greek. And Lawson going around the outside, and so too does Spencer. Oh dear, dear, dear. It frightens me just to sit here and watch, Peter.
Yeah, indeed. And they were doing that manoeuvre at about 150, 240 kilometres an hour.
And just to bring you up to date on the battles behind, Haslam is still in third place. Gardner is fourth, right with him. And Raymond Roche and Christian Saron are wheel to wheel as they battle for fifth and sixth place. Lawson and Spencer, bikes 1 and 4. Yamaha versus Honda. Marlboro versus Rothman.
Spencer takes a very interesting line through that corner. He seems to drift wide, but I think he's having a wide entry to give him a good drive up onto the straight, but it's a very different line to Lawson's.
And a different line there when Spencer comes out of the corner much, much quicker, can close the gap on the Californian as they charge on the long up and downhill straight into Crowthorne. Is this the time that Spencer will seize to go ahead? Not this time, it seems. And here comes the battle for second and third place. Number 5, Haslam, is ahead of number 7, Gardner. Very little between these two men, both with the Honda Britain team. Barry Simmons and the rest of the mechanics having worked long and hard hours here in the sunshine of South Africa, and those hours appear to be paying off. No change in third and fourth. Different styles of riding there, Peter, from these two men.
Yes, Gardner's another one of these that gets the power on really early and makes the rear tyre work very, very hard coming out of the turn. Haslam's keeping his weight very, very low on the tank, and he doesn't hang all his weight off in quite the same way. He doesn't stick the knee out as much as Gardner does. Chest on the tank from Haslam, and Gardner with his chest right to the side.
This is the battle for third place. Gardner looks over his shoulder to see where Raymond Roche is, because Roche has now pulled away from Christian Saron. Saron obviously feeling the pain from that high-speed tumble. And with 17 laps to go, side by side, there is Roche in fifth place. And Saron has obviously made up that difference, so my apologies to Christian Saron. Such a mild, meek, inoffensive little character is Christian Saron. He is rather ironically called Tarzan by all who know him, purely because he's anything but a Tarzan-looking character. And news from the lap scorers is that Cito Pons, the Spaniard on the XB Suzuki, he's up to 10th place now, moving ahead of Terry on the 500 Chevalier. And Roche and Saron battling away there. Very little between these two. Saron qualified third fastest, Roche was sixth fastest in practice.
And these bikes may be painted different colours, but they're almost identical. In fact, both works Yamahas, both using Michelin tyres. Run under different camps, so obviously the settings will be different, the way the bikes are set up. And that's Momola closing in. You can see number 2, Randy Momola, who had a disastrous start. He's on the 3-cylinder Honda, closing in on the men in front.
And last year, of course, Randy Momola missed the start of the Grand Prix season. He didn't do his deal with Honda until after the first 2 rounds. And Saron and Roche almost side by side. Saron pulling back as Momola gets closer and closer on his Rothmans Honda. Momola, having done a deal with the Honda factory much earlier this year, finished second in the World Championship last season for the third time. And yet Mamola is still only 25. Look at the way he hangs off the bike, the foot totally in the air, off that footrest.
There's nobody who moves his weight to the inside of the machine more than Mamola does. You can see him slide now. You see this inside foot doesn't even touch the footrest.
The foot lifts off the footrest as Mamola chases Saron and Roche ahead of him.
And this is the 3-cylinder Rothmans Honda, again virtually identical to those ridden by Haslam and Gardner in the British squad. The main difference being that Haslam and Gardner are on Dunlop tyres and Mamola there is on Michelin's.
Fine shot there of the riding style of the young Californian Randy Mamola, charging the Honda in pursuit of the Yamahas ahead of him of Raymond Roche and Christian Saron.
And we're back to the scrap between number 3 Raymond Roche and Christian Saron, number 6.
And they're coming round to complete 15 laps. So the first 6 men have completed the halfway stage in this 30-lap battle, and Saron now ahead of Roche. Mamola getting closer and closer. Saron, of course, the reigning 250cc world champion, but he's decided to abandon the 250 class to have a go in this, the blue ribbon of motorcycle sports. It's the toughest, the biggest and the best form of motorcycle racing, and Roche looking for the inside line. Has he got it? No, he couldn't quite do it. Saron still hangs on there. Roche looking, probing, trying to find a way through on the inside, on the outside, and he's found a way through on the inside. Superb overtaking manoeuvre there from Raymond Roche, who now leads Christian Saron as that pair are being chased by Randy Mamola. Here is Mamola in pursuit of the 2 Frenchmen.
And as Roche leads Saron onto the straight, we'll see that there really isn't any speed difference between these 2 bikes. Although Saron will be able to tuck in and perhaps pass Roche, it doesn't mean the bike's quicker. It just means that he's gaining from the slipstreaming toe.
And Mamola definitely getting closer. Wayne Gardner has gone ahead of Ron Haslam now, so Gardner back into 3rd place. Saron looking for the inside line at Crowthorne. Can't find it, so Roche has the advantage. Roche is 5th. Saron on bike number 6 is in 6th place, and Randy Mamola, bike number 2, is chasing as hard as he can to catch this pair.
And these 2 Frenchmen should have been made aware from their pit signals that Californian Randy Mamola is closing on them, so they know they're under threat of losing their places.
Well, the question is, of course, can they do anything about it? And Saron looking for the same overtaking manoeuvre that carried Roche ahead of him on the previous lap, but he can't do it. Through the S's, Roche number 3, 6 is Saron. 2 Frenchmen, but 2 very, very different kinds of characters, 2 very different personalities. Raymond Roche, the hard man, born in the rough, tough area of Toulon in the south of France, now lives in the picturesque old village of Le Castellet, very close to the Paul Ricard circuit. Christian Saron from Paris, meek, mild, inoffensive. 13 laps to go, and Saron, the meek, mild man, pulls through on the inside, but can't quite do it because the hard man Roche hangs on, but Mamola's closer. You could see him closer that time. There's Mamola coming into sight. Roche from Saron. Using the track and just a little bit more. Raymond Roche, 3rd in the World Championship last year. Very disappointed that Honda weren't prepared to do a better deal for him than the one they offered. And here is the battle for the lead. And that's Lawson still ahead of Spencer as they pass Fabio Bilotti, one of the Italians in the race. And Lawson with slightly more of a leading margin than he's had in the past, Peter.
Yes, they're both running very consistently, aren't they? Although they're dipping and weaving, it's absolutely impossible to tell at this stage what each of them is thinking. Neither has been able to make the break, really. Spencer tried at first, then Lawson tried, and there's absolutely nothing between them. They're obviously going to battle it out over the final sort of 5 or so laps, I think.
Well, Kenny Roberts, of course, clashed with Freddie Spencer a couple of years ago, and everyone assumed that 23-year-old Spencer, the Southern Baptist from Shreveport, Louisiana, the non-smoker, non-drinker, the man who likes to go to church on Sunday when he's not racing, very much a Christian. Everyone thought that Freddie would perhaps be the softer man on the racetrack. Well, Roberts found out a couple of years ago at the Swedish Grand Prix that Freddie can be a hard man. I wonder whether Eddie Lawson's going to find out the same thing in the last few laps, Peter.
Yes, it's obviously going to be some nail-biting stuff as we see Spencer number 4 tucking in behind the fairing and into the slipstream of the leader number 1.
There's the pit signal from the Yamaha team. 0 lead, it tells Lawson, and that's the gap. The whole length of the straight. Lawson ahead of Spencer. And now Cito Pons is up into 8th place. Didier de Rodriguez is 9th, and Mike Baldwin is 10th, and they're all together. And all getting it all together too are these two Americans, and Lawson is under greater pressure than ever before from Spencer. Spencer literally breathing down the neck of the Yamaha rider.
And they're coming up to lap and yet another tail ender. This is Wolfgang von Muralt, watching number 4 Spencer on the V4 Honda, a very different bike to which he rode last year. That V4 had the petrol tank slung underneath the engine, and Spencer reckoned that the weight of the petrol was too far from his own body weight. It was like having a huge rock on the end of a stick and then trying to wield it about, and it just got out of control. So they put the petrol tank back on top in the normal place where it is on Lawson's bike and everybody else's, and they're catching von Muralt, but Lawson's still ahead of Spencer, number 1, just fractionally ahead of the Rockman's Honda.
Through the kink, onto the start and finish straight again. Spencer right with Lawson. He is pulling out of his slipstream. No, he's not. He had to change his mind. Can he do it? They're closing up on yet another tail ender as they come down towards Crowthorne. And that's Boots van Dolmen, the Dutchman. 10 laps to go. 2/3 distance have gone. 20 laps have gone. And Lawson didn't even have to look over his shoulder. Just a sideways glance was enough to show him that Spencer was almost alongside him.
Boot, being the gentleman, the experienced racer, moves over and waves them through on the inside.
And Boot also checking to make sure there's not a dice following on behind the leading pair that he doesn't want to impede. And that dice is the battle between Gardner and Haslam, with Gardner just slightly holding the advantage. This is the battle for the lead. Spencer chasing Eddie Lawson. Then it's Gardner ahead of Haslam. Rush ahead of Saron. Mamola is in 7th place. Cito Pons is 8th. Didier Rodriguez 9th, and Mike Baldwin, the American, is 10th.
Now the question is, what was Spencer doing when he pulled out of Lawson's slipstream? Was it actually a considered effort to go past, or was he just testing his machine's capabilities alongside the Yamaha?
Dress rehearsal for the last lap. Looking for what the Americans would call the slingshot on the run into the flag.
And here's Freddie Spencer's pit. He says 9 laps to go, and he's plus 15 to the man behind him. That's, of course, the Haslam-Gardner battle.
So a comfortable margin between this pair and the Gardner-Haslam scrap for 3rd and 4th place, but absolutely no margin at all, and Spencer onto the curb as he chases Eddie Lawson.
Both bikes walking wildly sideways as they applied the power coming out of the corner. Knees flecking out as they then slam them onto the deck, skipping across the tarmac. They wear, of course, special knee pads so that they can scrape them on the road and it doesn't wear through to their skin underneath.
Well, 3 superb dices going on. 4, in fact, if you count the scrap with Cito Pons, Didier Edis and Mike Baldwin. But this is the battle for the lead, and this is the one that counts, and every reason to stay with it, because less than a machine's length between 2 of the greatest riders in the world. Californian Eddie Lawson, the reigning world champion, and the man who lost that title to Lawson, Freddie Spencer from Shreveport in Louisiana. And Spencer positively aiming, launching that Honda through the final kink onto the start and finish straight.
And of course it's no good for Spencer to be in front at the end of the straight here as he follows Lawson into the corner. It's at the start and finish line it's all going to count, so we can expect to see him testing his ideas on how to be in front going across the line, either closing on Lawson as they exit the last turn, that's the 120 kilometres, 75 miles an hour Learcop, or actually in front of him before that.
And the yellow flag's being waved, and Raymond Rush is missing from the lap chart. Or whether that means that Raymond has taken a tumble or not, we don't know. We certainly saw the yellow flags being waved. That really would be sad news indeed for Raymond Rush and his supporters. So now it means that Mamola is in 6th place and Cito Pons is in 7th place.
And this is that crucial last corner, and Spencer has been using a wide line to get a good drive out. He doesn't do that so much this time, but that may be his plan for the finish, to drive out well and get past Lawson before the line.
So Raymond Rush going missing, and that is a disappointment for him. And in fact Mamola has gone ahead of Christian Saron. That's the situation with 7 laps to go in this opening round of the 500cc World Championships. The reigning champion Lawson and the old champion Freddie Spencer wheel-to-wheel battling out in front. Wayne Gardner and Ron Haslam going at it, hammering. And look at those bikes just snaking and weaving there, Peter.
Sheer power being put through only a couple of square inches of tyre contact patch, and it just can't cope with it. It slips and slides, and it's now catching another group of tail enders, and the first man they'll come across is local man Dave Peterson on the creepy crawly Honda. They're about to teach him a lesson in riding. But of course a lot of these guys on private machines that don't have the speed, the outright speed and power of number 1 Eddie Lawson on the Works Yamaha and number 4 Freddie Spencer on the Honda.
Well, the word is that Raymond Rush lost it at sunset. We've no news as to whether he's injured up, but Spencer went very wide there. Spencer made a big mistake.
It's a very tricky corner, that. It's the left-hander of the S's, and if you go in too fast, it runs off camber, and perhaps that's what Freddie did, ran wide and off camber, and it can very tricky to lose the front end.
And he's lost contact with Lawson. Now, if Lawson can stretch anything like an advantage down the straight, it's going to make life tough for the Honda rider.
It was a strange thing to do because it wasn't an overtaking manoeuvre. There's no way he could have passed there as Lawson tucks down behind the bearing, passes Papandreou for the 3rd time and beams in on Dave Peterson.
6 laps to go. Lawson carving his way through on the inside of tail enders. Can't quite make it, and that will give Spencer a chance to come back a little bit. There is Spencer, number 4 in the background. Lawson still can't find a way through, and he'd been gnashing his teeth in exasperation. This really is the very last thing that Lawson wanted, because it's given Spencer, and Lawson almost leaning on one of those men. Round the curve, he's passed one of those tail enders, looking for the inside line. Look, Spencer too is all safely through past that slower man.
That was Gustav Rana he passed there, as Lawson now tries to sweep round the outside of Peterson, just as it nips inside him at Clubhouse. Nice manoeuvre.
So Lawson puts Dave Peterson on the creepy crawly Honda between himself and Freddie Spencer, and the Lawson has passed the other slower man, and now Spencer has another man to overtake before he can get back.
That was the other Italian, Messeri Massimo, on the similar machine that crashed on the first lap. Spencer goes inside him to chase Lawson onto the start and finish straight.
And Spencer's through, but you could see he was not going off the curb, he was on the paving stones as well. Spencer is on the ragged edge at the moment, Peter.
Yes, he had to go in on a very tight line there and yet get the power on full, and that meant he drifted wide coming out.
This race coming down to the closing stages. Lawson, the reigning world champion, out in front. Freddie Spencer on his tail. They've done 25 laps, 5 more laps to go. And still this superb battle behind between Wayne Gardner and Ron Haslam is out of picture, but it's nonetheless gripping and enthralling for all that.
The question is, has Spencer got something in hand, or has he done too much? Is he finding it too much under the hot sun?
And it really is very, very hot indeed out there. Both men, of course, used to hot climates. Lawson from California, and they tell me the sun shines there, and Louisiana. And again, Spencer, very, very wide through the S's, Peter.
I mean, it could be that he's obviously got it could have a mechanical problem, a gear change problem, that he can't snick it back. He's trying to go back into second gear there for that corner.
Slow there, Peter.
Yes, he's very slow, isn't he?
Well, are we in for drama on the final stages? Has Freddie Spencer got a mechanical problem? Lawson using everything to his advantage. He's really winding on the power. Spencer begins to drop back more. 4 laps to go now.
And he
just
passes,
over 8 miles of racing.
And he passes ex-world champion Franco Uncini on the HB Suzuki.
The rundown then at the end of the 25th lap is Lawson, then Spencer, then Gardner, then Haslam, Mamola, Saron, Didier Duradis, Cito Pons, Mike Baldwin and Terry Espy. That's the top 10. And Spencer is losing ground all the time.
Yes, we haven't actually seen any signs of this mechanical problem, if that's what Lawson has.
And the news out on the track is that Ron Haslam is back into 3rd place. Haslam is 3rd ahead of Wayne Gardner, the Honda Britain teammate, chopping and changing places. There's the race leader. There's Franco Uncini on the HB Suzuki. He's lapped and he's holding up Freddie Spencer, and it really looks as though Lawson has got this one in the bag.
Yes, Spencer again on the tight line. See if he can get the power on. Doesn't really seem to accelerate out that corner. Certainly doesn't gain any ground on the man he's just lapped.
These are tail-enders behind, still waiting for the battle for 3rd place, and it should come into sight any moment now. It should be Haslam, and it is. Haslam on bike number 5 ahead of Wayne Gardner, bike number 7. This is the battle for 3rd place. It's been going on wheel to wheel, toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder throughout the race. Haslam as ever made a wonderful start, and it's 3 laps to go now. Lawson and Gardner pulls out of the slipstream, but he can't do it. He has to pull back behind Ron Haslam. Haslam from Langley Mill in Nottinghamshire. He's had to battle to get the money together to go racing. Got some cash from Howitt, the Princess, from the Donington 100 Club down at Donington Park. And that's been a big help in finding the cash he's needed to go racing. And they're both under the colours of the Rothmans Honda Britain team. Side by side, Gardner is not giving away anything at all. Precious little between these two.
And the possible problem we mentioned earlier doesn't seem to have risen yet. Gardner shows no sign of losing the front tyre. They're both riding very, very well, using all the road, but not really getting out of shape.
Haslam 3rd, Gardner 4th. Out in front, Lawson still leads Spencer. And this race looks as though it's going to go right up to the checkered flag. And Mike Baldwin is now up into 7th place. Well, this is the first time Baldwin's been on the Grand Prix trail since 1979. And Mike Baldwin, the rider from Darien, Connecticut, will be pleased with that. And they are side by side, and Gardner's gone in front, I think. Gardner has overtaken Haslam over the brow of the start and finish straight past the pits. They're into Crowthorne now. At the moment, 28 laps completed, just 2 laps to go. And Gardner has got the advantage. Haslam knows he's got to do something if he wants to take third place. Here comes this battle for third spot. Still Gardner from Haslam.
And of course they're closing up on the Peterson battle for the tail enders there, so that could of course make a great deal of difference as these two close up on 3 men scrapping out between them, and Haslam has lost a few yards there. Haslam in trouble. He's made a mistake on that corner and he drifted wide right onto the tarmac, so maybe Ron's got a mechanical problem.
So Gardner has had the chance to open up a gap. Whether that was just a rider mistake by Ron or not, we shall soon see, but it certainly was a problem. It's cost Haslam an awful lot of ground, and it's probably cost him third place. There is the race leader. We're on the last lap now. Just 2 miles stand between Eddie Lawson and a victory that, I must be fair, I think very few people expected. Most people here, particularly after practice, thought that Freddie Spencer would win this opening round. Well, Lawson and the Yamaha have proved them wrong, or appear to have done. Lawson, of course, those few anxious seconds now that lie between him and the checkered flag. Will something go wrong with the bike? Will he get bought by a tail ender? He's got an awful lot of ground between himself and Spencer in second place, so it's only a mechanical problem that could rob him of victory. And what a fine ride it is from this American.
Yes, of course, it will be his second South African Grand Prix in a row under atrociously wet conditions last year and in brilliant sunshine this. Lawson is just proving that he can do it no matter what the conditions.
Lawson then, the leader, coming up towards Learcott for the last time in this race.
And just ahead of them is the Baldwin SBA battle.
So he'll have lapped everybody but the 7th man through the kink. The checkered flag will go out. There is the checkered flag. Lawson has won. What a tremendous ride from Eddie Lawson. Second is Freddie Spencer, and a fine ride too from the former world champion. Is it going to be Wayne Gardner in third place? Here comes Gardner. Haslam's behind. Haslam looks over his shoulder. Gardner is through the kink. He is going to take third place. What a great start to the season for Wayne Gardner. He's delighted, punches the air in delight. Ron Haslam finishes in 4th place. In 5th place, it should be Randy Mamola. We wait to see, but and here comes this scrap. It's Randy Mamola, in fact, with a tail ender, so it's Mamola going to finish in 5th place, and we wait to see whether Christian Saron will limp through, and here comes Saron, but there is Eddie Lawson, so Christian Saron will have taken 6th place. A rundown of the results. There is Freddie Spencer, Lawson the winner. Freddie Spencer, number 4, finishes 2nd. Number 7, Wayne Gardner, 3rd. Number 5, Ron Haslam from Langley Mill, 4th. Randy Mamola, bike number 2, is 5th, and Christian Saron on the Yamaha is 6th. So a tremendous performance. Here is Eddie Lawson, and the crowd come forward out of the grandstand to cheer the men there. There is Lawson, and really shakes hands with Franco Uncini, and Lawson is absolutely delighted. Eddie Lawson is not the sort of man who shows emotion very much, Peter.
No, he isn't, but of course this is what he wanted to prove. He was world champion. He said he was going to set out to win races here, not just the world championship, and that's what he's done from day one, win races.
And confirmation of those first 6, Lawson, Spencer, Gardner, Haslam, Mamola, Saron, then Didier Duradi, Cito Pons, Mike Baldwin and Terry Espy. Well, tremendous performance. Look at Lawson. There is a very, very happy Californian waving. You can almost see the grin under that crash helmet, and the crowd like it too.
Of course, when it comes to it, if onlys don't count.
There's the final rundown. Lawson on the Yamaha, Spencer on the Honda 2nd, Gardner on the Honda 3rd, Haslam on the Honda 4th, Mamola on the Honda 5th, Christian Saron 6th, and that's the result